Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Audrey Gale and I do art. Today I'm going to be showing you how I utilize alcohol markers with colored pencils. I really like using these two mediums together because they just go together so well. You can apply them so easily with each other, and it saves a lot of time than just doing like a traditional colored pencil drawing. So I'm first going to start by applying the alcohol marker. Before I started filling in this color, I did some test runs of what these colors would look like on paper, which you can kind of see towards the left of my scratch piece of paper. What I'm doing is finding the main colors to block out this piece. I just want to get the most common colors down. And what I'm doing is actually just doing one layer at a time. I'm just going through, I'm trying not to overlap my layers of marker too much because that's actually going to make your color darker. You really don't want to double up on these layers unless it's just like a darker shadow, shaded area, because you can always make something darker. It's a lot harder to make something go from dark to light. Using alcohol markers before using the colored pencils just really speeds up the process instead of laying down traditional like colored pencil layers. I mean, this whole thing took me maybe like 7 to 10 minutes to draw or to color in, and now I've got all my base colors down, and now you can just color over it with the colored pencils later and add those finer details. So here I actually went in with a darker red and started doing like the lines and the darker areas of the pepperoni, some of the shadow as well. You don't even have to add details like this with the alcohol marker. I just decided that I could in this case. You could definitely just leave it all one plain color and then go back with the color pencil and add those details, kind of slowly layer up so it's not such a bold difference in color. Alright, so now I'm pretty much done with the markers for the most part, and now I'm going to start adding more depth and dimension, more details with the colored pencils. Just like I did with the markers, I used that scratch piece of paper to figure out what were the best pizza colors, what was going to work best for the crust and the pepperoni. I usually use 2 to 3 reference photos per drawing, and I just kind of pay attention to, all right, well, how many colors are actually in the cheese? It's not all one color. It's really like at least 3 or 4. And that's really all based on how the light hits it or how the light doesn't hit it. I'm paying attention to the more shaded areas, the more like kind of greasy, shiny areas of the pizza. I'm noticing how on the pepperonis, like the sides sort of stand up from the surface, so that's gonna look like it's closer to you than the base of the pepperoni. How the base of the pepperoni has more lighting and more glossiness than the edges, and the edges are kind of burnt, kind of crispy, so that's gonna be a different color than the middle of the pepperoni. It's all just about noticing those slight differences in color that make a huge difference when it comes to your depth. The colored pencil can be applied on top of alcohol marker, no issues at all. It just glides right over it, and you can still build up your layers. In fact, that's probably the best way to do this. Starting with like lighter pressure on the color pencil, kind of getting a lighter shade, and then as you get more comfortable in establishing your shades, you can press harder down on the pencil to establish darker shades of the yellow and the red. As I start going in on the crust, you'll notice that I've made some kind of darker brown lines. That's because in all the reference photos, you could see like the baked in cheese, which was darker than the crust itself. So I really wanted those to stand out and feel like they're sitting right on top of the crust, kind of three-dimensional. So I'm taking like my darker tan, brown, oranges, and I'm actually just kind of creating that darker shade on top and then slowly going down with lighter colors. Kind of gives the illusion that it's standing up right on top of that crust. So I usually don't go back and add marker on top of color pencil, but in this case I did, and it worked out just fine. It needed just a little something extra with the green flecks, the seasoning. I just wanted the pizza to pop off the page a little bit more, so I took my gray Crayola pencil actually and kind of just gave shadows to one side of the cheese drippings and underneath the crust, and it worked out great. The highlights are probably the most important part of this entire piece for me. I went back with a gel pen and made sure to capture not only the specks of the crust, which I'm doing now, more importantly, the shiny parts of that pepperoni. You're just not getting your full spectrum of color if you're not highlighting your work. And sometimes that's really difficult to do with color pencil. So I used a gel pen and the Posca paint pen to really add those highlights, the shiny parts of the pizza. And this is the final product. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I hope that you guys learned how to use colored pencils and alcohol markers to make your work really pop. And thanks for watching, guys.